The morning my daughter told me I was living alone for nothing, she was standing in my late wife's kitchen, eating toast from a plate that had belonged to her since 1989. She said it casually, like she was giving me practical advice. "Dad, sell the house. You're living alone for nothing." I looked at her across the table. My wife, Linda, had been gone for 9 months. Her garden gloves were still hanging by the back door. Her handwriting was still on the calendar. And my daughter, Megan, was telling me the home her mother and I spent 34 years paying for had become unnecessary. I did not argue. I did not remind her that this was the house where she learned to walk. The house where Linda baked every birthday cake. The house where Megan brought home her newborn daughter and placed her in Linda's arms. I just nodded. Then I went upstairs, opened my office drawer, and started canceling 29 payments. By the next morning, Megan was standing on my porch holding a letter from her landlord. "My name is Richard Hawley. I am 71 years old, retired from the water department in Columbus, Ohio. For 38 years, I woke up before sunrise, put on the same blue work shirt, and made sure other people had running water before they even got out of bed. I was never wealthy, but I was careful. Linda and I saved when we could. We paid off this house early. We avoided debt. We helped Megan whenever she needed us. And she needed us often. After Linda got sick, I started helping even more. Megan was a single mother by then. Her husband had left 2 years earlier, and she was raising her daughter, Ava, alone. Linda worried about them constantly. "Make sure Megan is okay," she would say from her hospital bed. "She is okay," I would tell her. But the truth was, she was only okay because Linda and I kept quietly making sure she was. We paid part of her rent. We covered Ava's daycare. We paid Megan's car insurance, her phone plan, her credit card minimums when she got behind. Even a few subscriptions she probably forgot were coming from my account. Linda never wanted Megan to feel ashamed. "She has enough on her shoulders," she would say. So we helped quietly. That was the word Linda loved. Quietly. No lectures. No reminders. No strings. And after Linda died, I kept doing it. At first, I told myself it was because Megan was grieving too. Then I told myself it was because Ava needed stability. But somewhere along the way, help became expectation. Megan stopped calling to ask how I was. She called when the daycare bill was due, when the car needed repairs, when rent was late, when Ava needed new school clothes. I would send the money and tell myself I was honoring Linda. Then came that Tuesday morning. Megan had stopped by before work. She was rushing, scrolling on her phone, barely looking at me. She glanced around the kitchen and sighed. "Dad, this house is too much for you now." "It is fine," I said. "You have 3 bedrooms, a basement, a yard. For what?" I looked at her. "For my life." She shook her head. "Mom is gone. You're alone. You should sell it and move somewhere smaller." Then she said it. "You're living alone for nothing. For nothing." That sentence landed harder than she knew. Because she was wrong. I was not living alone for nothing. I was living among memories. Linda's laugh in the hallway. Her favorite chair by the window. The dent in the kitchen cabinet from when Megan slammed it during a teenage argument. The height marks on the pantry door where we measured Megan every birthday. This house was not empty. It was full. Megan looked at me like I had not heard her. "Think about it, Dad. You could sell this place. Put the money somewhere smart and stop worrying about all this upkeep." I nodded. "I'll think about it." She smiled. That smile told me she thought I agreed. Then she left. I stood in the kitchen for a long time. The house was quiet again. Too quiet. I looked at Linda's framed photo above the mantel. She was smiling in it, wearing the yellow dress she loved. And I remembered something she told me near the end. "Richard, someday Megan may confuse love with rescue." I had laughed when she said it. Linda had not. She has a good heart, she continued. But she gets scared. And when she gets scared, she leans too hard on the people who love her. At the time, I thought she was just worried. Now I understood. That afternoon, I went upstairs and opened the drawer where I kept our financial records. There was a folder labeled Megan. Inside were years of payments. Rent help, car payments, daycare bills, credit cards, utility bills, insurance, streaming services, school supplies, Ava's summer camp. 29 payments in total. 29 ways Megan's life had become easier because I had chosen not to make a speech. I sat at my desk and stared at the list. Then I started canceling them. One by one. The rent transfer. Canceled. The car payment. Canceled. Daycare account. Canceled. Credit card auto pay. Canceled. Phone plan. Canceled. I did not cancel them because I wanted Megan to suffer. I canceled them because she needed to see the difference between living alone and carrying everyone else. Now tell me honestly, would you have done the same thing? Would you have kept helping because she was family? Or would you have stopped the moment she told you your home meant nothing? Comment keep helping if you think I should have continued. Comment stop now if you think she needed to learn. The next morning at 8:11, someone knocked on my front door. Not gently. Megan was standing on the porch. Her hair was unbrushed. Her eyes were red. Ava stood behind her holding a small backpack. In Megan's hand was a letter. "Dad," she said, "what did you do?" I stepped aside and let Ava come in. Megan stayed on the porch. "That letter is from my landlord," she said. "They said the rent payment did not go through." "Yes, and daycare called. The car payment bounced. My card was declined at the grocery store." "Yes." She stared at me. "You canceled everything?" I looked at her calmly. "I stopped paying bills that are not mine." Her face twisted with disbelief. "Dad, I have a child." "I know. I helped raise her." "That is not fair." For the first time, my voice changed. Not louder, just clearer. "You came into my home yesterday and told me I was living alone for nothing." She looked away. "You said this house was too much for me." "Dad, I was trying to help." "No," I said. "You were trying to decide what I should give up next." The porch went quiet. Ava was in the living room, sitting beside Linda's old chair, looking at a photo album. Megan lowered her voice. "I cannot afford all of this by myself." I nodded. "I know." Her eyes filled. "Then why would you do this?" Because that was the question. Why would a father who loved his daughter stop rescuing her? I looked at her and said, "Because helping you is not supposed to mean disappearing for you." She covered her mouth. For a second, she looked less like an adult and more like the little girl who used to run into this house after school and ask, "Linda, what was for dinner?" But then she said something that broke my heart. Mom would not have done this. I looked past her at the street, then back at her. "You are right," I said. "Your mother would have done it sooner." Megan's face changed. She knew I meant it. Linda had loved her deeply. But Linda also understood something I had spent years avoiding. Love without boundaries becomes a trap. Megan left that morning angry. She did not scream. She did not slam the door. She just walked to her car carrying that landlord letter like it weighed 100 pounds. For 3 days, she did not call. Then, on Friday evening, she came back. This time alone. No anger. No letter. No accusations. She stood at the front door for almost a minute before I opened it. "Can I come in?" she asked. I nodded. She sat at the kitchen table. The same table where Linda used to help her with homework. The same table where we celebrated birthdays and argued about curfews and ate pancakes every Sunday. Megan looked at the empty chair beside me. Then she started crying. "I did not mean that this house meant nothing," she said. But you said it. I know. I think I was scared, she whispered. I am behind on everything. I keep trying to look like I have it together, but I do not. I sat quietly. She continued. When Mom died, I thought you would always be there to fix it. Every bill, every problem. Every time I made a mistake, her voice cracked, and I stopped seeing you as my dad. I started seeing you as the answer. That was painful to hear, but it was honest. And honest was something we had not had in a long time. I told her I would not restart the payments. Not all of them. Not automatically. But I would help her make a plan. A real one. A budget. A cheaper apartment if needed. A payment schedule. A way to stand on her own feet without treating me like a bank account with a heartbeat. Megan nodded. Understand. That weekend, she sold the extra car she barely used. She canceled subscriptions. She picked up additional shifts at work. She applied for childcare assistance. For the first time in years, she started solving problems before calling me. And slowly something changed. She began visiting without asking for money. Ava came over every Wednesday after school. We made grilled cheese sandwiches and watched old game shows. Megan started asking about Linda, not just the illness, the stories, the funny things, the lessons. One afternoon, she found the old height marks on the pantry door. Her finger touched the line from when she was 10 years old. She cried quietly. Then she looked at me and said, I forgot how much she loved this house. I shook my head. No, you forgot how much it loved you back. Today I still live here. The garden is smaller because I cannot keep up with all of it, but Ava helps me pull weeds on Saturdays. Linda's chair is still by the window. Megan's life is not perfect. Neither is mine. But she pays her own rent now. She pays her own car bill. And when she calls, it is usually to ask how I am. Sometimes she still needs help. And sometimes I still help. But now she asks. She thanks me. And most importantly, she understands that this house is not a burden. It is not nothing. It is where her mother loved her. It is where I learned that giving everything to your family can feel noble. But teaching them to stand can be love too. Because sometimes the kindest thing a father can do is stop carrying a weight his child was meant to learn how to lift.